My project is about the overrepresentation of ELLs in special education. The target population is culturally and linguistically diverse students. I chose this topic because throughout college I was a Spanish concentration and I have worked with ELLs. I am also doing part of my master's in special education, so this may be a topic I will be experiencing in the near future, and I wanted to know ways in which I could prevent this overrepresentation. As of 2016, there were an estimated 4.8 million ELL students in public K-12 education, making up 21% of all school-age students. By 2025, approximately 25% of all public school children will be ELLs. ELLs are defined as students who demonstrate a sufficient difficulty in reading, writing, speaking, or understanding the English language. This relates to special education because language and learning difficulties are generally due to factors intrinsic to the learner, such as a neurological impairment or a problem with symbolic processing, whereas second language learning difficulties are typically due to factors extrinsic to the learner, such as the language learning process itself or cross-cultural differences. There are 3 reasons for overrepresentation of ELLs. The first reason for overrepresentation of ELLs is assessments. Assessments require that all students have symbolic proficiency, previous experience, and cultural and linguistic learning and application, which may not be true for ELLs. Data gathered is also heavily norm-referenced and standardized testing-based, which doesn't give an accurate representation of the whole child because the testing is very narrow. The second reason for overrepresentation of ELLs in SPED is the prevalence of a medical model. This model is based on the notion that disabilities or challenges can be identified, like the list of disorders that are officially recognized as diseases in the medical field. Students with language learning difficulties are put into this category by professionals thinking that they have a mental disorder. The third and final reason for overrepresentation of ELLs is because of funding. Since the Education Act for All Handicapped, also known as IDEA, passed in 1975, students have had to be identified before their school receives funding. Additional funding gives schools needed resources, so this may skew opinions on if a child really needs to be classified or if it's just for monetary purposes. On the other hand, there is also underrepresentation of ELLs in special education. Some places wait until the ELL fails in order to identify and refer them to special education. This is also a problem since students have wasted time in the classroom not knowing what was going on instead of getting the interventions they needed to succeed. Also, the pre-referral process in some districts is longer due to fear of monitoring, so ELL students who might need these extra supports might not be able to get them easily or at all. Misrepresentation of ELLs disempowers students and their identity because it marginalizes and stigmatizes ELLs as having lower status than typically learning peers. Placing students in the most effective learning environment is important because they need to be around their regularly performing peers in order to fully be immersed in the English language. Studies have shown that ELL students that have been misidentified as special ed actually saw a decrease in their academics over a 3-year period than when they first got to the school. Implications for educators. The educational needs of ELLs require that we understand the diversity among our student populations and plan and deliver instruction that is tailored for the individual needs of this group through a culturally responsive learning environment. It's important to start with a positive approach rather than thinking that ELLs know nothing, because thinking from a deficit perspective already puts them behind. If the child needs help, you can begin with RTI, or response to intervention instruction, rather than moving them straight to special education. There also needs to be accurate and appropriate assessments. Students should be assessed in their native language, and over time it should be faded so that the emphasis gets moved to testing in English. There also should be both formal and informal testing done. It is essential that testing be non-discriminatory. Finally, it is important to offer assistive technology to help the ELLs learn English. For example, allow the ELL to have an iPad to translate information from their native language to English. This will make them feel respected and they have a better chance of learning this way. Overall, it is our goal as teachers to put ELLs in the least restrictive environment for the learner so that their needs are met and they are being motivated to learn English in a classroom where language acquisition and curriculum differentiation are encouraged.